Yo, what's up everybody? This is DJ Blaze for DJBooth.net, and this is the full video review of the Stanton SCS.4DJ digital DJ Mixstation. Okay folks, so here it is, the all new Stanton SCS.4DJ digital DJ Mixstation. And this is the overall impressions, build quality, and setup. And overall impressions, I mean, the first thing you notice when you look at the unit is that it is the first true all-in-one unit, meaning you have your controller section here with your decks of control, your mixing control, along with the screen with your software and hardware built directly into the unit, meaning you do not need any type of computer in order to use this device. All you need to do is add your music and you're ready to go. So right off the bat, we can talk about the build quality. This is very light unit, and it's built mostly of all plastic, which is, you know, double-edged sword. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing depending on, you know, what you need it for. So in one way it's good because it's lightweight, but in the other way it's bad because at the same time sometimes you want a little bit more protection. You got to be very careful with a unit like this since it is made up of mostly entirely plastic. So also on the unit underneath here we have a section here that is lockable, and we can unlock these tabs here and we will reveal another section down here which actually has room to house your hard drive, and it also has 2 additional USB ports down here as well. You have a nice LCD screen that you see right above the mixing console portion, a nice oversized knob for your file navigation and for your browsing of your tracks. And overall impressions is pretty good, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into the other features as the review carries on. So the setup on the Stanton SCS.4DJ is very easy. As you can see, it's an all-in-one unit. You have your software, your computer, and your mixing console all in one. So as you can imagine, it's going to be very easy. Just turn it on, use one of the USB ports. You saw the 2 underneath, and we have another one in the back here just for you to plug in your USB smartphones or your flash drives, your USB hard drives. You plug them right in to add your music or video. You can now also play video here. We'll go into that a little bit later as well. But for your music files, you will be able to play them back immediately as soon as you connect them. Even in the Apple products, you will be able to see all of your iTunes playlists as well. But one thing about loading your music in from any of these smart drives, USB drives, smartphones, and any other drive that you're going to use here is that it have to be analyzed. And analyzing tracks takes about 1/4 of the playback time of the amount of music that you're actually going to use. And when you analyze a track, basically you're allowing the system to set up cue points, you're allowing the system to set up the beat grid, also the BPM of the song, and all your other main functions of the song. We'll go into that a little bit more later. But right out of the box, if you plug and play a USB drive or USB device, it will play the song back. However, you will be limited to your functionality that you can use here on the system until you actually analyze the tracks. So next up we have the inputs and outputs, and we'll go from the front panel first. All the way over to the left we have one microphone 1/4 inch input with the microphone volume control and the master volume control. All of the knobs, by the way, are a rubberized material, and the fader caps are all plastic, and they feel slightly rubberized as well. All the buttons here are plastic material, and mostly everything is plastic like I said before, but you have a few rubberized portions here, such as for the jog wheel here, so you can do your pitch blending and get the right nudge in order to get the right mix on the mix that you're making. But to continue on with the inputs and outputs, we have the headphone jacks here. Either you can use your 1/4 inch or you can use your mini, and we also have your headphone cue functions here, which has the volume control knob here and the cue or mix fade knob here to determine what you're going to play out in your headphones. Okay, just like what I showed you earlier, there's a cutout here for your hard drives, and there you will see the two USB ports that you have there. We also have the USB port on the back. These are for your drives or for a keyboard. There's extra functionality with the unit when you plug in a keyboard. We also have the USB MIDI connection in order to plug in different software, and we did test this thing out with Tractor, and we'll have some results with that for you later. Also, we have the power adapter input, and we have your master outputs, either balanced in 1/4 inch or unbalanced in RCA. You'll notice there are no inputs here. This is a contained unit. Stanton wanted this to be an all-in-one contained standalone unit, and that's what you got here. So that's about it for the inputs and outputs. Okay, first up we'll talk about the mixing console. And mixing console, I'm referring to the middle portion that controls the fader and all of the sound coming out of the decks. And the first thing that you're going to notice here about the mixing section is this nice big screen here at the top. It's a little bit bigger than an iPod Touch, I would say. And it's nice resolution, very high resolution. Maybe not as crisp as an iPhone 4 or iPod Touch, but almost close, very close. And it also can play back video. It's not a touch screen type of screen, but it does have 4 buttons to each side of the screen that will correspond to different options here depending on where you're at within the menus. The video screen is also capable of playing video as well, and you can also play back the video sound coming from the device. You won't be able to do any like video DJing here. You can't like merge 2 videos together or mix between one video or the other. You can only play one video at a time, but you can output that sound to your actual master outputs and get some playback there. When you first get this unit out of the box, you're going to be confronted with a demo and tutorial startup video, and it looks nice and crisp, and it's people there explaining to you the advanced features and functions of the system, and they also tell you how to get started, so very nice feature as well. Next up, we'll move to the crossfader and the line faders. The crossfader and line faders really feel pretty plasticky here, but they still feel like they're decent quality. I really feel like they're almost the same as what's in the M203 mixer. We also reviewed that earlier in the year, and those faders usually hold up. It feels like a short-bodied Alpha type fader here, or Alps type fader here, and it feels like it'll hold up, but just be careful when you're transporting. Make sure you don't hit this thing with any real hard knocks. It's a pretty good crossfader, and you can set the controls for the fader within the system functions up in the actual software. So you can make it sharp, short, or very long fade depending on your mixing or scratching style. You can scratch with this fader, however, there is a 2 to 2.5 millimeter dead space before you actually hear the sound. It may not sound like much, but for a real seasoned scratching turntablist or a person who really wants to get scratching use out of the system, it becomes a little bit of a learning curve in order for you to get over that initial fader lag. But all in all, you'll still be able to do all your crabs and all your cool transforms and clicks with this mixer. With this DJ Mixstation, but you won't be able to shorten up that distance in any way, as it's just there inherent from the factory. So next up we have the line faders. Line faders have a little bit more resistance to them, so you can get the perfect volume for your mix, and they're nice and smooth and they feel good. You can also switch the crossfader hamster, so that way you can have A be on B side and B be on the A side. And as I said earlier, all the knobs here are rubberized. They're somewhat like the M203 knobs as well. They feel very smooth. They all have a center click for the gain knobs here. You have low, medium, and high for each one of your channels, 2 channels, 2 decks of control. And you'll notice that there is no gain knob here, and which is a little unfortunate because I'd rather have gain knobs than the inherent auto gain feature which is present already in this unit. So there is an auto gain feature here, and for the most part it works nicely. But there were some instances where I have come across where I've had 2 different tracks playing from 2 different files, and the levels were considerably off, and I did want to change that with the gain control, but evidently there's none here, so I had to live with that. But those occurrences are few and far between. Next up here, you'll notice we have the LED for the master output levels. You can't really see the LED for each track, well, because there's an internal auto gain feature, so you know it's not really a necessary feature there. But there is an A level and B level indicator, one single LED, so you can know that there is something playing out of either A or B. Next up, we'll speak about the Q section. Each of the different channels have their own Q button that can be pressed to queue up the next track that you want to listen to in your headphones. You press the Q button, and automatically over here you will be able to control the volume of what's in the Q section of the headphones, and here's the knob so you can fade between Q or the master, what's playing out of your master output. Also in the mixer section, you'll notice a record button right here in the middle, and you will be able to record and play back your mix. And you can do this only with an external USB drive that you have connected that has additional space on board to accommodate for that recording. And in order to do that, you just press record, and it will record exactly what's coming off of your master output, and the file will automatically save, and you will be able to go back, find that file within the browse function here, and you will be able to play it back immediately. Also within this unit, there's a function called the auto DJ, and that is within the waveform playback section of the software. When you're here, there's a little button up here that will correspond to auto DJ, and what that will do will basically blend and mix your music for you as long as you have a playlist set up within your software. So say for example you're DJing at a party and you need to go to the bathroom, or you want to go get a drink, and you have a playlist set up within your Stanton SCS.4DJ. You can press the auto DJ feature, and when that track is about to finish, the next track will automatically fade in depending on the properties you have set within the system. If you have a short or a quick cut-in time for the crossfader, then your mix will be faster and more quick on the BPM beat. And if you have it set to a slower fader contour, then that means the fade will be a little bit longer and a little bit smoother into the next track. And overall that worked pretty well. As long as you have all your tracks analyzed and the BPMs are all lining up pretty nicely, the feature works just as advertised. Okay, next up we'll talk about the actual deck controls, and when I'm referring to deck controls, I'm referring to the actual deck B and deck A, which control the manipulation of the actual track that is selected, and they're located to either side of the mixer, same thing on each side, one for deck A, one for deck B. And the first thing that jumps out at you when you're talking about the decks is the jog wheels. So right off the bat, I'm going to just tell you, hands down, these are some of the best jog wheels that I've used on any controller out there, let alone an all-in-one exclusive Mixstation such as this. So the jog wheels are very solid. They have no give to them, no wobbles to them, very high resolution, and a nice touch-sensitive feel to them. Around the outsides, you'll notice it's a rubber ring here, and this rubber ring is used for nudging, either going a little bit farther forward within the track or a little bit backwards in order to get the perfect beat match. And with that, these can scratch very nicely. Quick demo here just to in scratch mode. go along with the scratching, we have the scratch mode, which is what you just saw here. When you put it in scratch mode, you press play. Everything you do here on the deck is mimicked with the file of the track. Very good one-to-one operation, no skips, no hiccups, nothing crazy. And we also have what we call the touch function, and when you're in touch mode of the jog wheel, what happens is basically every time you touch the jog wheel, you'll go back to the cue point that you originally set. Also with the jog wheels, the jog wheel sensitivity and start and stop times can all be set to different values within the system menu. You go in the system menu and there is a setting for the faders here. Let's check it out. They have audio settings, platter settings, crossfader settings, and we have a crossfader reverse or a crossfader curve select. When you go into the crossfader curve select, you have constant power, linear, transition, slow fade, or fast cut. And in the crossfader reverse, we have A on left or the A on right. The default settings within the system, instant start, instant stop, felt the best. And anything slower or anything lower just didn't feel correct to me in my opinion. So I just left them on the factory default settings and we were ready to go. Next up, you'll notice that there are no hot cue points here. There's only a cue button here, and you can only set one cue point, and usually from default it's set at the beginning of the track, but in order to set it, you actually have to, you can play your track, you actually have to stop the track, then press cue where you want the next cue point to be. But it works like a charm once you get it set up, but it's still a little bit different than what you're used to if you're used to having hot cues where you can just play the track, set it on the fly, and recall it on the fly. You actually have to do a little bit more work here, and again, you only have the one cue point. Other deck controls you see down here, we have the play pause button, cue button, as we've just talked about. You also have the sync button, which will automatically sync your two playing decks on beat with each other. And you also have a tap function where, as if your BPM you think is off within the system, you can actually tap this a few times to the beat and you will create a new BPM pattern for that file. Also here you'll notice we have the pitch sliders here. They have a soft center click and they're nice and smooth. And there's also a pitch bend with pitch bend plus or minus buttons, and these go about 2%. These go about 2% for every click that you have there, and they can also adjust this pitch slider to plus or minus 5%, plus or minus 10%, 25%, or there's a hybrid mixture of plus 25, negative 100. You'll also notice that there are 4 effects on each deck. Each deck has its own pre-fade effects here. We have filter, flange, slice, and delay. Filter is just that, high and low pass filters. Flange, the slice is the cool one. That's the one that kind of slices the beat and changes things within the actual sound. We'll do a little one here. But it still stays on beat once you end the effect. So depending on your time and your rate and the parameters that you set here on the frequency or the amount will all alter that effect. You got the flange, got your filter. We also have the delay. Unfortunately, with the effects, you cannot combine the effects, and they're only limited to that side. So you only have one deck at a time, and they are only pre-crossfader effects. Next up we have the loop section, and the loop section is here on both decks, and by default the loops will be set for 1 bar. You can change that setting within the software, and the loop can actually be set to 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars, or 16, and you can grow and subtract that loop using the divide and multiply buttons here in order to divide, either shorten your loop by bars or multiply it, increase the loop. And then there's a reloop button here that's actually like a cue point to start back at the beginning of your initial loop. So we'll show you that function here.
Shoes crocodile, fuck haters. Ain't no need to top haters. Ain't no need to top haters. Ain't no haters, 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 haters.
So that's almost like another cue point there.
Nigga pay us. I don't need haters, 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 haters.
Unfortunately, the loops cannot be saved, and once you load a new track, your loops will no longer carry over for you. And as you will notice here, if you can see the actual highlighted portion of the waveform to let you know that that's the beginning and end of your loop. So you know you're in the loop here when you have a highlighted section in your waveform. Next up, we'll dive a little deeper into the file analysis and program navigation. So as I said a little bit earlier, we referred to this as the file analysis. Every time a new USB device is inserted into the SCS.4DJ, the system must analyze the music on board to have the full functionality of the track. It takes about a quarter of the playtime to analyze each track, which means it'll take quite a long time to analyze the music files on a USB drive that is only 16 gigabytes big, let alone these big 100 gigabytes and terabyte drives that we use today. The files can be used for music playback immediately, but the analysis will add a lot more to your functions of the SCS.4DJ, including it will add a music database, it will give you the track BPM, they'll also give you the visual waveform display, and it will also give you a beat grid for easy auto sync and beat matching techniques. You know, without the analysis, you will not have the use of the cue points either, the loops, the BPM, beat matching, or other software related playback functions. According to Stanton, as of early August, they're in the works for a fix on this issue. But until then, we'll update the review when that comes out. But as of right now, you have to analyze your tracks, and it takes a lot of time. So the main navigation buttons are here in the front. First up, we have the home waveform button, and that will either bring you to the waveform screen or the home screen. The home screen will actually display 2 squares here, which will show you the actual box art, and it will also show you a beat type LED here, along with a small mini waveform on there as well. With the home waveform screen, you can access your auto edit button here, your key lock button for each deck, your next track A, next track B, and you can edit your BPM with the edit BPM button here as well. There's also a snap feature as to where you can have things automatically set up to always be on beat. Next up, we have the browse area, and within the browse area you'll see all of your tracks actually lined up here, and you can use this big oversized button in order to do most of your file navigation within the SCS.4DJ. So within the browse area, you can see all of your tracks here. You can tell which ones have been analyzed and which ones have not. The red tracks will be unanalyzed tracks, and the ones that are in white will be analyzed and ready to use on the system with full functionality. Also within the browse area, you have a load deck A button and a load deck B button. So when you're highlighted onto a specific track, you press load deck A to bring your track over here and load deck B to bring your track over here. In order to load, you press that button, then you will be redirected to the actual home waveform screen where you can see more information on that track, and then you'll have to press a browse button screen to come back to the menu to then load your next deck with the track that you want. That can be done still while you're still playing back your music, but obviously you'll have to go back to the browse section in order to load your next track onto your next deck. Also within here we have a sort function up top, and within sort you can sort by title, artist, BPM, time, album, genre, comments, sessions. Also here we have a to Z sort. We also have a search function where we can search for specific tracks. If you have your keyboard plugged in, makes it a little bit easier for you. And also in here we have a top playlist button to where you can automatically go straight to your top playlist. And we have the playlist file button here, where when we go to playlist you have your playlist set, and you can shuffle through your playlist. You can load your playlist, load tracks from your playlist. You can also search through your tracks in the playlist button, but your playlists are all organized here within the playlist section. Next up we have the system button. Now this is where you actually do all of your settings within your program of the SCS.4DJ. In here you'll find audio settings where you can set auto cues to the beginning of the track, or you can have them manual set by you. We also have auto loop length. That way when you press loop for the first time, will it be a 1 bar loop, 2 bar loop, 4 bar loop? It's up to you. Also there's a headphone split section in here. That way you can have one of your headphones playing master while your other headphone is playing what you're hearing in the cue section. Also here we have the pitch slider range, which will change the ranges of the pitch. As I said before, they're 5%, 10%, 25%, and a hybrid of 125. Also here we have the platter settings, startup speed, break speed, release speed. You can adjust all those in there, as well as crossfader settings. You also have SCS.4DJ settings, which can set up the auto DJ, the soft takeover, your clock, name, factory reset. You also have display settings. You set language, track time, the end of track warning. You can have the whole deck blink. You can have the waveform blink. There's also auto shutoff mode, brightness. You can hide the demo or bring it back. And there's also a devices area where you can flip between your various devices that you have plugged into the unit. As you can see, there were 3 USB ports on this device, so you're not limited to just one source. Also here's the video player, so you can play back your MP4 videos. And then you also have your MIDI controller mode, whereas you get into that mode there and you can set it up to play with your favorite DJ software such as Tractor, Serato, and the others out there. Everything is fully MIDI mappable here, including the knobs and the faders. And I'll just touch up on the use within Tractor. I had this unit loaded and running with Tractor. It works quite nicely. Everything is mappable. The jog wheel mapping wasn't that tight, so it didn't feel as good as this feels right out the box. Everything felt better here and more on point as it was internal to the SCS.4DJ, and that's really what it's made for. It's made as an internal, all-in-one, all-inclusive unit, and that's what it set out to be, and that's what it does. Although they added the MIDI portion for additional connectivity, just in case DJs want to use it that way, so kudos to Stanton for that. But the best usage is when this is used as an all-in-one, all-inclusive unit when you just add your own music. Also, along with the file navigation, you have, as I said earlier, this big oversized button that will do most of your navigation for you, and you have a back button here and an enter button here in order to enter that area that you would like to enter. So in conclusion, the Stanton SCS.4DJ Digital DJ Mixstation is the first true all-in-one DJ console that combines a DJ controller with internal software, an onboard computer, and an onboard LCD screen that can be used for file navigation, waveform display, software setup, and video playback. All the user has to do is add music files via USB in order to start DJing with the SCS.4DJ. Stanton has made this very easy, since any USB device, smartphone, iPhone, iPod, iPad, flash drive, or hard drives can be directly connected into the SCS.4DJ for a plug-and-play media playback. However, the user will have to wait quite some time in order to make sure the entire drive is analyzed for maximum usability, including loops, BPN sync, and other software properties. The SCS.4DJ is also an excellent all-around 2-deck, 2-channel digital mixing solution that contains all the basic features that DJs need to mix, scratch, and play as they wish. The Stanton SCS.4DJ has some high-resolution jog wheels and nice faders as well. They're very reminiscent of the M203 mixer, which we also reviewed at djbooth.net/DJS. Check that out. The SCS.4DJ can also be used as a full-fledged MIDI controller for any popular DJ software out in the market today, so it's giving you some added extra flexibility there. Tested the system with Tractor and it worked rather well, but the jog wheels felt best with the internal system. The entire unit is very compact, lightweight, and it allows DJs to slip the SCS.4DJ into almost any backpack or any laptop bag to take it with you on the go. So on the downside, the Stanton SCS.4 digital DJ Mixstation cannot be used as a standalone mixer for additional decks since there are no additional line or channel inputs available. Another gripe that I had with the unit was the lack of hot cues. You know, in this day and age, everybody expects hot cues to be synonymous with, you know, controllers or almost any DJ product today because we're just so used to them now. And for us to only have one cue point here, it's a little different than what we're used to. There are also no gain controls on the SCS.4DJ. There is an internal auto gain function that usually works, but doesn't always work just as well as, you know, having your own gain control up here. A couple of times I was playing a track from one different folder while another track on another folder. They tried to level the gains, but it was just still, this side was playing a little bit higher than this side, and I wish I could have turned that up a little bit more. Instead I had to end up turning this down manually using a line fader. Also, users will not be able to combine any of the effects that they see here for any complex, you know, track effects. It's only one effect at a time. And the final gripe that I had with this unit, which is also the double-edged sword that we were talking about before, it's made up of almost all plastic. So yes, it's compact and lightweight, but it also will take a ding in the quality department because of it. Because if you knock this thing around a few times, there's no telling what will happen. But as long as you keep it safe and keep it in a bag or a case, you should be fine. So overall, I recommend the Stanton SCS.4DJ to DJs of all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You know, the SCS.4DJ is perfect for those who don't want to purchase a separate $1,000 computer, a separate, you know, $300, $400, $500 interface, and a separate, you know, controller just to start DJing. You know, this is a all-in-one boxed up unit, and it's ready to go right out the box, and everybody has music on USB of some sort or on an iPod, which they can easily plug into this unit and be ready to go. It's also recommended for mobile or traveling DJs who don't want to lug around their, you know, laptop or their heavy DJ components, you know, 2 Technique 1200s and a big mixer. Not that this will replace that, but just to have another auxiliary system with you at some times where you can just plug it in and go and be ready to do some pretty advanced mixing here on this little unit. So for more, be sure to check out the DJ blog where we'll have the written portion of this review, and that will be on www.djbooth.net/DJS. Also check out the YouTube channel, Real DJ Blaze, and also follow me on Twitter at DJBlaze_DJBooth. Thanks for watching.